No gun is as cool or quintessentially American as a lever-action rifle. Lever actions just have that special something that gives you the fizz. A quick flick of the wrist reloads the chamber in the blink of an eye, and you're ready to shoot again. These guns are handy, quick, powerful, and undeniably awesome. Shooters have bought them in droves for well over a century, and they always will. But new generations of shooters getting into the game likely won't know about the eccentricities, quirks, and flaws inherent to all lever-action rifles. That's why, in this video, I'll be telling you about the surprising truths concerning lever-action rifles that often go untaught. Let's get right into it. Number 7. Before you buy, consider loading procedure. Most shooters generally think of lever-action rifles as loading through a side gate. It's a port in the side of the receiver that's functionally analogous to the method of loading a typical pump-action or semi-auto shotgun. Rounds are thumbed in one at a time. This is true of most designs, but not universal. Some lever-action rifles, even some modern ones like those made by Henry and many 22s from other makers, lack this loading facility and instead must be loaded into the magazine tube through a cutout near the muzzle end. This is accomplished after loosening and withdrawing the long, rod-shaped follower assembly. To be clear, both methods certainly work for general-purpose use. It's just a different way of doing things. However, if you have self-defense purposes in mind with your lever gun, you'll definitely want to get one with a side gate. They are the easiest to top off after cracking off a handful of rounds. Number 6. Loop size matters more than you think. Far and away, the most commonly overlooked element when picking a lever-action rifle for any use is the size of the loop. Amateurs like to argue about whether big loops are an affectation or whether smaller loops have an effect on follow-up shot speed. Here's what actually matters concerning loop size. Does it fit your hand? Especially if you've got big mitts or you plan on wearing gloves or actual mittens. Your fingers might wind up being quite crowded inside the loop. At best, with a light-kicking cartridge, this can be uncomfortable. At worst, with something brutally powerful like a 45-70, this can severely bruise or injure your fingers. It goes without saying that smaller loop openings are more fumble-prone if you have to grab the gun quickly and aren't very practiced. Or you might not be able to get your fingers inside at all if you're wearing thick gloves. Larger loops look cool, yes, but they also give you some standoff between your fingers and the cold, unforgiving metal under recoil. They make using the gun with gloves or mittens a lot easier and also give you clearance to install a foam, leather, or paracord wrap as cushioning. The latter comes in very handy for long practice sessions. You can do whatever you want, of course, but you'd be wise to keep this consideration in mind. Number 5. Modern lever guns don't give up much accuracy. Conventional wisdom tells us that lever-action rifles are significantly less accurate than bolt-action rifles, and this truth is why many hunters and target shooters choose bolt actions instead of lever guns, despite the trusty lever action being comparably powerful in most cases and much quicker when it comes to delivering a follow-up shot. As you might have guessed, it turns out that this traditional wisdom is of dubious value these days. Despite the huge difference in complexity, mechanical lockup, and other factors that, on paper, give bolt-action rifles a big advantage in the accuracy department, most modern lever guns are more accurate than enough for any purpose for which you might need a rifle at all. Modern lever guns from Marlin, Henry, Browning, Winchester, and more are entirely capable of achieving between 1.5 and 2 MOA with good ammo and assuming you do your part. Now, in our era of hyper-accurate bolt-action rifles, this might seem pedestrian, even disappointing. But do keep in mind that any lever gun that achieves this level of accuracy is turning out between a 3/4-inch group and 1-inch group at 50 yards or a 3-inch and 4-inch group at 200 yards. Folks, that is more than enough accuracy to bring down man or beast. Even lever-action guns only capable of tendering 3 MOA will do nearly anything you ask them to unless you are shooting bullseyes for gold medals at an organized match. Don't let purported fears about accuracy turn you against lever actions. I've got 4 more important lever action truths to reveal to you, but before we go on to the next one, do me a big favor and click like, subscribe, and the notification bell if you are enjoying the video. Those 3 clicks help us out a ton with the YouTube algorithm, and by doing so, you'll always get notified when we upload a new video for your enjoyment. Thanks. Number 4. Tube mags and spire point bullets don't mix. Here's a lesson that the occasional misguided handloader has to learn the hard way, and that is to say horrendously. The smart way to learn this lesson is to learn from the early blunders surrounding lever-action rifle development. The great majority of lever-action rifles feed from tubular magazines, again just like a shotgun. If, for whatever reason, you're unfamiliar with this loading arrangement, it means that the rounds are stacked end-to-end in a tube with the bullet of one cartridge pressing against the back side, the rim and primer of the next one in line, and so on as the rounds are loaded. Compare and contrast this with guns that feed from column magazines, be they detachable or otherwise. In this arrangement, cartridges are stacked one on top of the other side by side, like beverage cans in a case. Because of the aforementioned arrangement in a tubular magazine, lever-action rifles cannot make use of sharp spire point bullets, also known as Spitzer bullets. Think about it. If you have a sharp point pressing against a primer and something jolts that sharp point, the primer will be ignited and subsequently ignite the powder charge. A cartridge so ignited will propel the bullet forward into the next primer, and then the process repeats in what is known as a chainfire. This utterly destroys the rifle and, typically, severely injures the shooter for obvious reasons. To prevent this, lever-action rifles rely on blunt cartridges that are dome-shaped or have actual flat points. The only other alternative is to employ a column magazine, as seen with Henry's Long Ranger or the Browning BLR, or use specialty projectiles with a soft, squishy ballistic tip, as exemplified by Hornady's Lev Revolution bullets. Now, any conventional lever gun chambering will account for this when buying factory ammunition, but it's something you should always pay attention to when picking ammo and loading your rifle. Be doubly cautious if you are a hand loader. Number 3. Expect to test several brands of ammo. A minor consideration for some, but it's good to be aware of nonetheless. Compared to most other guns, you should expect to test many different brands and varieties of ammo with your lever-action rifle to find one that really hits the sweet spot. You'll often find a load that cycles superbly in your rifle but delivers only middling accuracy. You might find one that is remarkably accurate but finicky when cycling. This is all just part of owning a lever gun. Don't get me wrong, most quality lever actions, modern or vintage, can be depended on to work with any ammunition of decent quality. But getting truly excellent results from your rifle demands a little bit of experimentation on your part. Once you find a load it really likes, get a bunch of it and put some away. Number 2. Have a tool to clear malfunctions. Skilled, savvy shooters know that it's only a matter of time until their gun malfunctions. A bad magazine, bad ammo, operator error, dirt, dust, neglect, gremlins, whatever. Whenever it happens, the correct response when victory is on the line is to implement remedial action to clear the malfunction and get the gun running again. You need to tap the brakes when it's a lever action, though. Many common malfunctions, including a failure to feed and failure to eject, can result in a round getting badly snarled inside the action. Trying frantically to run the lever is likely to just make the problem worse, and the great majority of lever guns don't have a detachable box mag that you can pop out to create more room for solving the problem. Accordingly, knowing the moans and groans of your chosen rifle to better understand and apply what remedial action is needed is important, and just as important is keeping some kind of thin, strong tool on hand to help you fish out a recalcitrant case or cartridge. Naturally, plenty of shooters will whip out a folding knife and start going to work, and that can get the job done. A better solution I have found by far is to keep a thin, short flathead screwdriver on hand for the purpose, or better yet, a thin, hard Durlin gunsmithing tool that's used for prying and pressing out pins. The latter won't scratch and scar your gun, and if heavy-duty prying is called for, will typically fail before parts do. Number 1. User-induced malfunctions are always a problem. Whatever else people might think about them, most shooters have a generally good impression concerning lever-action rifle reliability. This goes hand in hand with bolt actions, pump shotguns, and other manually operated firearms. The notion is that good old-fashioned muscle power won't fail to get through the cycle of operations. Who knows what will happen with a semi-auto, right? It sounds good, and it's a nice sentiment, and most lever guns are indeed plenty reliable enough, but just as with pump shotguns, the single biggest cause of malfunctions with these rifles is shooter error. You might say there is a loose nut behind the trigger. Specifically, short-stroking the lever is a guaranteed way to foul things up, and the shortest path to causing some truly hideous malfunctions that can necessitate complete disassembly of the gun. Another common but lesser-seen problem is fully cycling the lever but failing to do so briskly. Learning the eccentricities of any firearm is part and parcel of mastery, and one pro tip I can give you that will never fail you is to get into a good rhythm when you are practicing. Crisply cycling the lever all the way open and then all the way it closed is paramount for reliability. Easy to say and easy to do under controlled conditions, but things start to get hard when you're trying to go fast or shooting from compromised positions. If you are prone, twisting to take an oblique angle shot, or if you just have a bunch of brush or other obstacles in your workspace, it's easy to screw up. Being aware of this issue and training accordingly goes a long way to mitigating it though. That's all I've got for you concerning the surprising truths of lever-action rifles that no one else will tell you. From ammunition selection to proper handling, there's a lot you need to learn before you can properly call yourself an inheritor of the lever-action legacy. Let me know down in the comments what magazine design you prefer on a lever-action rifle, loading through a side gate or straight into the tube. Let's chat about it below, and before you run, do remember to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our great upcoming content here on Guns You Can't Live Without. Thanks so much for watching, be safe out there, and I will see you soon.